Greetings and welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. I'm your host, Dr. G, and I'm so glad you could keep our appointment. Tonight's guest, Dr. Pruitt, is a political analyst and independent journalist who writes and speaks on geopolitics and economics. He's also a professional life coach, educator, and author with dedicated for 30 years to helping clients become highly self-actualized and lead joyful lives. Dr. Pruitt has an educational background in economics, political and social sciences, counseling, and leadership studies. She completed her undergraduate in economics and political and social sciences from Shawnee State University. Her master's degree in counseling and leadership studies from Marshall University, and her doctorate of philosophy in education and counseling psychology from the University of Louisville. A former relationship advisor and journalist at the San Francisco Examiner. Dr. Pruitt currently coaches clients by referral only, but uses her social media platform to educate the masses. On her platform, she covers personal development topics, politics, climate, wealth management, and estate planning as part of her efforts to inspire to reach their fullest potential. In her spare time, she teaches classes in femininity. Her Joyous Rising Academy to help women become in tune with their goddess essence. Dr. Pruitt is also a trust advisor for Strategic Trust and Company and an independent sales consultant for Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. She utilizes her education and inspire and liberate humanity to strengthen the family unit and to ultimately raise the vibration frequencies of the planet. Dr. Pruitt, also affectionately known as Mama Tia, is a widow and mother of 8 children, 4 grandchildren, and a host of godchildren. Tonight, I know you're in for an informative dialogue with my guest, Dr. Kia Pruitt. Yes, but before we get started, please make sure that you like, share, and if you have not already done so, please subscribe to our channel. With that, welcome to Office Hours with Dr. G. Dr. Pruitt, how are you, my sister?
Fantastic.
Listen, I have been waiting and looking forward. I'm going to turn this down just a tad because it's we're back. I have been waiting to get you on the show ever since I first came across your Facebook page a few years back. And as I was saying to you before we went live, you were doing some activist work that had to do with the homeless somewhere out in California, in Khalifa, as we call it. And I mean, every time I looked, you were on the front line and you were down there with the homeless. You were reporting on their, their situation, their conditions, and the lack of, and you were soliciting support and so forth. I don't know, you're no longer on that side of the U.S. but talk about a little bit about that, because that's when I first said, she's fiery.
First of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm honored. I was just thrilled when you and the Grand Sheik called me. I mean, it took me, I didn't know what to do. I was just so shocked and so honored and so thrilled. So thank you. And thank you for having me on the show. I spent some time in California, in Sacramento, California. There, my nephew, Ishmael Pruitt, runs a nonprofit organization called Project Hope, I think it is. But the organization is to help the homeless. So he collects money for the homeless. He helps them get food, shelter, and all their necessities. So that's how I became involved in activism, was actually through my nephew.
Okay. So I actually didn't, like I said, I kind of jumped in the midst of, and
Yes.
saw some of the videos and some of the live feeds that you had done. And as time has gone by, of course, you are a force to be reckoned with. On
Thank you.
I heard somebody say this about their stuff, like we're not YouTubers, you
Mhm.
know. We are, we're providing a service.
Yes.
Yourself have a background in journalism.
Yes.
I have a background in community television, going back to like the late 80s, and hosting local TV on a regular basis.
Mhm.
But it is just that this is an evolution, because
Yes.
even in that, I was talking to say a county. I had
Mhm.
the opportunity, if you will. But now with social media, we
Mhm.
have an opportunity to speak to the world.
That's
Uh,
right.
it's global. But your background, I mean, you have such a broad background on something.
Yes.
And let me say this too. And you're so beautiful. I
Thank
just,
you. Thank
but
you.
you're so humble, and and I know whenever we talk all the time, and I always say you don't have to say that, but you told me that was your southern upbringing, your southern Hebraic upbringing.
Yes, ma'am.
There you go, because you love to say yes, ma'am, and I was like, but you are a mother of 8, and
Yes.
a grandmother of 4, and
Yes.
a beautiful example of aging gracefully and beautifully, and so much so
Thank
that you're
you.
even able to take whatever and have learned and have employed to help other women.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
so that's we'll get into that, but
Okay.
let's start with, let me see, where shall we start? I'm trying to think where's a good place to start,
Who shall we
because
start? You want me to start?
yes.
Okay. Where we should start is that everybody should stay hopeful. Keep a positive mindset and know that God is in control, or the creator, the creative source, your ancestors, however you look at it, is in control of every single thing. So know that everything is going to work out for your favor, and that God is in control. And no matter what it looks like to your natural eyes, your spirit should agree with the positive messages that we bring, that everything is working out for your good. So right now, the whole world looks like it's in turmoil, but behind the scenes, the creator and some wonderful people that the creator has appointed are working on behalf of all of you out there, of the Moors, the indigenous people, the people who came to America that we welcomed here. They call them the colonists or the Europeans, the people all over the world. Everything is working out for your good. And I'll yield the floor back over to Dr. G, so she might have some questions for me as to what exactly do I mean.
Yeah, because, well, if you turn on your channel, when you first come on, almost every segment, you start out with positive affirmations, and you are really, giving encouragement to your viewers
Yes.
about the state of of this world that we are
Yes.
currently in. One of the things I will note is that, and I said this to you, and Grant Sheik and I have had a conversation about this with regards to you and your presentation, that there were, over the last couple of years, what we've been going through, of course, there were many other YouTube journalists, if you will, that were putting out information that, eventually we looked and they were no longer there. They lost their channels.
Yes.
I guess they went through the 3 strikes and all of that stuff. And we said, she's saying a lot of the stuff that these folks were saying, these what we thought were prominent people that were connected,
Mm,
people were saying, and they lost their channels. But
yes.
yet Dr. Kia gets on there unashamedly, unashamed, you don't hold back. I
Yes.
mean, if you're talking about, the deep state,
Mhm.
or who's not really dead, or who went to GMO. I'm just saying GMO, and what
Right, right.
or what the state of a lot of the financial what's going on with gold and silver and the fiat dollar. What it's you talk about all of these things that other folks are not on these social media platforms anymore.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, of course, we wondered how you were able to do that. And and hopefully even after this, I mean, I don't know. I think you're under the radar because you're very visible, but you get to talk about things that these folks got taken off for.
Yes,
What do you
ma'am.
attribute that to?
I attribute it to it being a part of my purpose because I don't know if I shared it with you before, but um, I had a visitation from some celestial beings or beings from other realms years ago, and they told me that there were things that were happening in the world that were against the human population or humanity, and that I should not be afraid. And they said they called it the New World Order, the New World Order powers. And they told me that they had commissioned me to bring a message of hope and to raise the vibrations of the planet, and that they would use this energy and harness it and help to liberate us. So I attribute it to God. I attribute it to those celestial beings or beings from other realities that came to help us. And I attribute it to the military because I actually received a couple phone calls, where people just said, we put in a phone call and we just want you to know that you're going to be okay. And they told me some other things, and I didn't know if I could believe it, but sometimes I look up, you can see helicopters flying around. And they just told me, you will be okay. We put in some calls. One person called me from the Marines, and just some people that I didn't even know were family called and said, continue to spread the message. You're going to be all right. Do what you're called to do. And we're working behind the scenes.
Well, from a standpoint of if you were putting on one of your breaking news presentations right now, is there anything, for instance, that in the last say 24 hours or 48 hours that you have been apprised of that we should know, that because we see one of the things, and I hope I can say this. For instance, one of the things I see, because you're telling everybody it's going to be all right.
Yes.
And I know what you mean, but everybody, if I can just disagree with you slightly,
Sure.
Everybody is not going to be all right, but depending on what they did in the last 2 years. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because some folks, drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak. I think that's the best way to put it. Some folks drank the Kool-Aid and thinking that they had to comply with certain things in order to keep the jobs, as we say, or to be able to stay in maybe the military or whatever they were doing. And now a lot of those things are being retracted, or you don't have to do. New York was a big deal. New York was a big deal. And then to have a judge just like in the last week or so issue an order or something saying that they had to reinstate anyone who who lost their jobs because they didn't take it, and they were going to be owed back pay, and that also may apply even to private employers. And the reason why I think it's so significant is because New York played a big part in pushing the narrative that went global, I think. So you see a lot of the results of that now, is what I'm saying. That's why I said I don't think everybody's going to be okay, because every day I hear about somebody dropping dead, having a heart attack. I mean, it's like almost every day somebody is telling me about somebody in their family, that one of their relatives or friends that just they were in the garden and they came in and sat down, and next thing you know, they had a heart attack, or it's just happening, just like bing, bang, boom. So with that in mind,
I have a response to that.
please.
Yes. You're right. A lot of people did transition out of here from this reality into other realities. And we're very sorry about that. And we pray for those family members. I lost a family member. I want to say that there are universal laws that govern the whole world and even govern our behavior and govern the celestial realm and everything in existence. And one of those universal laws is the law of relativity. So everything is relative and it depends on how we choose to view things that have happened. So we could look at it that people left out of here and they succumb and they died and it's a terrible thing. And we can also, or I should say, or we could choose to look at it like as if some people have transitioned from here to a different reality because there's another universal law, that's the law of energy, that everything is energy and energy does not change. Energy it just transmutes, or it's the same thing. Everything is of source. So we could look at it like people die, or we could look at it like they transition into another reality and perhaps they decided or chose to leave during that time period when everybody was taking the injection. And so, everything is relative. It really depends on how you choose to see reality.
Right. And I get that too. I get that what you're saying, because I do look at things from, like the natural, and then I try to look at it as more from an etheric level.
Yes.
And I do realize that we make our choices to come here to do and be certain things when we're here. And even, maybe as hard as it may be for some to believe, to come and to be born at this time in order to be martyred, so to speak, in that cause of awakening and opening the eyes of the masses, may be what these, like you said, these people did, knowing that when that's their exit, that's their exit ticket, and they go back to source. They go back to review whether or not they played that part well. The role was, did they do what it was that they said that they were going to do. And that's the part. But it's still, for me, the human side of me, is just gets righteously indignant over the fact that somebody else picked up the role to be that diabolical, because even they're playing a role.
Yes.
They're role playing too. I hear people say this is only a big old movie, multiple movies, if you will. So, I guess that's another way of looking at it. But from a standpoint of, we hear so much about, the dollar's collapse, for instance, and, because you talk a lot about, gold and silver. I saw something, I clicked on your channel and you talk about, gold and silver, or silver's becoming harder to acquire. I saw something that you had maybe a few days or so, or maybe a week or so ago. What do you think? What is happening in that realm? Because we keep hearing the dollar has collapsed.
Yes.
We're still using it. Then you also hear, because people probably want to know, we're also being told, get all your money. They'll say money. Get all your money out the bank. But what are you going to do with it if it's not going to be worth anything?
Yes. Okay. I meant to say energy cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes. That's what I meant to say. But in terms of the fiat dollar, what we see happening is the dollar is declining in value. So when Russia went over to that country called the ukulele, because I can't say that. When they went over to the ukulele, they were actually going in to dismantle the deep state that's over there, because 46 and his son and his family had some nefarious dealings allegedly over in the ukulele going on. And also the ukulele is part of the territory that belonged to Russia at one time. So Russia, or the bear, however we called it, went back in there to take their country back. And of course, mainstream media spun it as if Russia was doing something diabolical, but that's not the truth. So when that happened, number 46 put sanctions on Russia, and and started making it very hard for Russia to conduct business. So Russia did something that we called in the hood clap back. Russia clapped back. Russia responded. Russia responded in a positive manner because they already knew it was going to happen. So what Russia did was say, you could put sanctions on us, 46, but we will just leave the United States dollar. We'll just go, we'll stop trading with the United States dollar and we'll move to other commodities such as silver and gold. Now, that is very important for our family to know this because the United States dollar was the world reserve currency. And what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency, as my friend Andy Schectman, the CEO of Miles Franklin, says, is that we had an agreement to protect the Saudi kingdom. And what we said is, Saudi kingdom, you give us the oil and we will protect your kingdom and we will force everybody to use the United States dollar in order to get oil from you. So it was an agreement with the Saudi kingdom that everybody had to use the United States dollar. That's what made it the world reserve currency. So when Russia left the United States dollar and said, we reject it, we're no longer going to use it, then that led to the BRICS unions, which is Russia is a part of which Russia is a part, to also flee the USD. So then you have Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, that whole union leaving the United States dollar and going to other commodities and saying we're trading with gold and other things. So after that happened, it led to other nations saying that we're going to leave the USD and join the BRICS nations. But just the BRICS nations leaving the United States dollar is 40% of the world population. That's 3.22 billion people that left the United States dollar, which was the world reserve currency. 40% of the population, because we're approaching 8 billion now. We're at 7.8 billion. So we're almost at 8 billion. 40% left with the BRICS nations. Then Saudi Arabia joined the BRICS union and said, we're no longer using United States dollar. That's it. We're leaving our agreement with the United States. And so now you had a union called SAL-BRICS. That's important because once the nation with which we had an agreement left the USD, that meant we were no longer the world reserve currency. So now you have SAL-BRICS, and then you had Indonesia, Malaysia, Egypt, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Argentina, Mexico, all these nations until it became all the exporting nations joined BRICS, leaving USD and fleeing or going to gold or precious metals. So that is extremely significant because what happens when all nations leave the United States dollar is that all those dollars come flooding back into our country. And that means that significantly decreases the USD. And as such, inflation goes through the roof. So you had that on top of quantitative easing when they were just printing money and printing money and printing money. So that means the United States dollar lost its value. But again, everything is relative, okay? It depends on how you see the world. If you come from a scarcity mentality, meaning there's not enough, we're not going to make it, all is bad, which is the programming that they put into society, then it looks all bad. And that's okay that it looks all bad because that means you're supposed to be prepared and be proactive and do what you need to do in order to respond righteously or respond wisely. But the other side of that is at the end of every dynasty, at the end of every empire. See, when you know history, you know this. What happens is that they spend up all the money, they use all the credit, they crash the system, and then they return to a sound system, which is silver and gold. So that's what we see happening, playing out before our eyes. But a lot of people just didn't know that because they didn't know or understand or understand history. So everybody's leaving a dollar, which looks bad, but at some point we all will return to the gold standard because according to Project Sandman, you all should look that up. It will say 100 plus countries agreed to leave the USD and return to gold, but it's actually 209 countries that agreed behind the scenes to leave the USD and to return to gold and silver.
I hear you, but there's a lot of talk and a lot of consternation
Yeah.
regarding the fact that it looks like they're trying to move us towards a digital platform, a a surveillance, we can wipe your account clean. I mean, we're kind of there anyway. If you got funds in the bank, you're doing, I do all this electronic stuff, so it is digital in a sense.
Yes.
And now it seems like these other applications like Cash App, PayPal, and all that are now tied into, because they're reporting what you got coming in and coming out, where they didn't used to, or they didn't used to it until you got to a certain level and so forth. So what do you think? What do you see as a move towards a digital, a digital system and social credit? Because that's the digital system and the social credit system that it seems like it's enforced in China.
Yes.
We keep hearing, that is looming, it's coming after us.
Yes.
What do you say to that?
Okay. I would say that was the Great Reset. So the Great Reset was a part of the New World Order agenda to move everybody to a digital coin. Everybody all across the world would use one type of monetary system. And indeed, they were actually moving towards that. As you mentioned, China was headed in that direction with social credit. So yes, that was their intention. However, everything has been neutralized. So instead of the Great Reset, what we're going to see is the global currency reset. The Great Reset is nefarious, bad, new world order. We're watching you. We're surveilling you. You better not make a purchase that we're against, or we'll do something to you. And then you have the global currency reset, which is positive and benevolent. So the global currency reset is once they dismantle the old system, and it's actually happening behind the scenes, all the countries will go to a different standard, which will be the gold standard. And that will revalue all currencies, and all currencies will be assessed or revalued based on the resources that each country has. So we have the global currency reset that's actually happening right now, where gold will be the standard. And we do have a quantum financial system. So the quantum financial system is a benevolent system. It is a system that makes sure that everybody on the planet has their own quantum account. And it is monitored, but it's monitored by our galactic family. So I don't know how people feel, about galactic beings, but we do have people or entities that are benevolent, that are here from other realms and other realities. And they are behind the scenes working with the white hats of the military, dismantling the nefarious powers, the deep state, United States Incorporated, and instituting or putting in place a benevolent financial system that we call the global currency reset. So what you will see is a revaluation of currency. So you will also see people call it the RB or the GCR. And I don't know if you all know about the RB in terms of having exotic currencies, but all currencies around the world will be revalued, and they will all, since they will be on a gold standard, then they will be able to be revalued 1-to-1. So the money that I have here will be the same in Zimbabwe, for example. The money in Zimbabwe will be equated to the exact same amount as, or translating to the exact same in Mexico. So everything will be 1-to-1.
So so people who still have the devalued fiat currency,
yes,
what will happen? I mean, will there be an opportunity, as far as to exchange it, or is it just like sawdust? I mean, is it
right?
Does it mean now you see it and now you don't? Or
that's a good question. So originally, that's what was going to happen. That's what they planned. The nefarious powers planned for it to completely go to zero and be worth nothing. So we do see it being devalued, but behind the scenes, it's being revalued. So what will happen is you'll be able to change your USD, your United States dollar, or the fiat dollar that you have right now, for a gold-backed note which will either be called the United States note, the USN, or the United States Treasury note, USTN. And the reason they might put the T in there is because according to our Constitution, the only entity that can deal with money will have to be the United States Treasury Department. And that's why we will see a dismantling, by the way, of the Federal Reserve.
So the United States Treasury now, would you say that it is right now, has it been taken over by, the white hats, or so to speak, or what? I mean, because as far as I see, anything that is a part of the corporation is suspect. I mean, it's not, it's not in favor of the people. And I do see it dwindling, it meaning the dollar dwindling when you go to the store. I mean, the fact that, something that you purchased 6 months ago or last year maybe cost you $5, and now that same thing might cost 15.
That's the truth.
So that's like, what? A little bag, $25 or $30, and you got one little bag. When we were coming up, I was telling my husband today, you need $25 back in the day, you'd have 3 or 4 plastic bags. We don't have plastic bags anymore. But I'm saying, you see the devaluation in the fact that you can't get hardly anything that you used to be able to get before. But I think myself, like I said, I hear, get your money, even Grand Sheik says it, get all your fiat out of the bank. And, I was, saving stuff and turning it into $1 bill. Somebody pointed out that the $1 note, or dollar bill rather, or is the only one that it says something different on it than all of the other, denominations, the 5s, the 10s, and the 20s. It's the one that has the US. I don't even have a wallet around me to pull it out, but it says something different. But my thing is, I take it all out. I got it. Again, that was my earlier question. Am I going, unless I turn it into gold and silver right now, what happens to it? Or if I turn it all into gold and silver and nothing happens like we are feeling might happen, and I can't go to the store and buy a loaf of bread with a gold coin. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I could, but I'm not gonna get any change. So so what? And I'm sure folks, because a lot of folks have been, stacking silver. You stack silver, I stack silver. A lot of the viewers and people who watch this are stacking silver and may not have much. May have just started. I started 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So there have been people who have been doing this for years and years and years. You know what I mean? But I'm just wondering, how does someone who has a significant amount of funds, what is, as a financial advisor and so forth, how does one go about, especially melanated, Moors, whatever, us, what should we be doing?
So my grandmother used to tell me to hope for the best and prepare for the worst. So that way, you're balanced. So what I would say is, and of course, I'm not a financial advisor, is leave enough in the banks to pay for your bills, because the nefarious people, although they are being taken down, you never know what they're going to do until it's all dismantled. So I would leave enough money in the banks to pay my bills. And then, since we do see the devaluation of the dollar happening, personally, what I did was rolled it over into something that's sound, or that I can, that's more protectable, whether that's real estate or precious metals. Then that's what a lot of people have decided to do until we get that announcement. Because what's going to happen is we're going to get an announcement that the republic has been restored. And then once that announcement comes, then you will know that these nefarious beings have been completely taken down, and the deep state and has been dismantled. And then we will go ahead and be on the gold standard and be able to exchange our dollars 1-to-1. So just prepare the best way you can. Have food, have water, have precious metals as you can, and even have dollars, because we are still currently on the dollar system until it's announced. So what will happen again is you were going to have an emergency broadcast system announcement. It's going to come on your phones. and it's going to come on your computers and your television. So the emergency broadcast system announcement is actually a presidential method of communication, so that the president can communicate to everybody and get around the mainstream media in cases of emergency. When that happens, everybody's going to know that there was a corporation that was made up of bloodline families that usurped or took over our republic, which is the Republic of the Moors, our lawful government, and created their own government, which is the United States Corporation, incorporated in Delaware. And then they created a banking system, this bloodline family, that is against or the antithesis of our system of trade bartering or using gold and silver. They also moved away from our Constitution, which was ours that we helped create, the Constitution for the United States of America, or the Constitution of Morocco, our Constitution. They usurped that and created their own Constitution called the Constitution of the United States of America Incorporated. So for is benevolent or good, that's ours, the Constitution for the United States of America, and of is theirs, the Constitution of the United States of America Corporation. We, family, will get an EBS announcement, emergency broadcast system announcement, to let us know about all that has gone on. We will see arrests actually occur on television of these nefarious people who have enslaved us. Some of them aren't even human. Some of them are human, not human. They're other entities, and some of them are human hybrids or other entities mixed with humans. So if you remember, the Bible talks about the Nephilim. The Nephilim, or the sons of God that came to earth and made it with the daughters of men, were those beings from other realities or other existences that came to planet Earth and made it with the women. They created giants or these other bloodlines that I call human hybrids. So these entities put their family members in control of us. So when that announcement comes, they're going to tell us all about that. That's when we'll know that the gold standard is completely official, and we'll be moving or trading with silver and gold. But in the meantime, while you see the dollar deflating or going down or decreasing in value, prepare. But here's the thing. We've been talking about this for years. I'm sure you all and Grand Sheik probably has been. I've been talking about, people have been talking about it for years. So we should have been prepared. We should be prepared by now. We shouldn't have to get prepared, so that when we say we're moving to the gold standard behind the scenes, it shouldn't be something that, that makes us feel like this is an untruth, because you can see that all these countries are moving to the gold standard. You can see that the dollar is deflating. If you know history and you listen to people who are speaking the truth, you know that when you move to a monetary system that's not backed by anything, once it's destroyed, you have to go back to silver and gold. So I would say stay encouraged. If you put your money in the banks, just leave enough in there to pay bills. I've heard that everything's going to be okay, but you don't know how much destruction the deep state's going to do before the good people come online and let us know that the war is over. Just like we have been telling people there was going to be a Black Swan event before it even happened, before the shutdown happened. I was telling people, some other people was like, there's going to be a Black Swan event. There's going to be troops on the ground. They're going to have curfew. They're going to make us come in. A lot of people didn't listen. They thought it was ridiculous. But the preppers been saying forever, prep, because, the system has to crash. The Moors, who knew that the people in power, that their time was up at a certain time, they've been saying prepare. So on one hand, it looked like, oh man, these people were lying. They're false prophets. But on the other hand, for those who had an ear to hear and listened, we were not caught off guard. We were already prepared. But that did not negate that once they shut down the world, it did not negate that behind the scenes, there were people in power arresting those nefarious beings.
We have been hearing, like I said, Grand Sheik and I used to, especially Grand Sheik, when he would come here, he'd always be watching those various ones, that some would be in the UK and some would be here. And, they would be giving, they were patriots, if you will, and so
Yes.
forth. But we still embraced the information, just because they didn't look like us. To me, I saw,
Right.
I think, I'm trying to think of his prime minister and there's another brother, were the only two of us that I used to see on a regular. And I think they took them off too, because they were given, this type of information out. But we saw them, and we had to, put aside the fact that what they were talking about. They were still talking about our stuff, even though they were saying that the deep state was taking their stuff. So it's like the fight that's going on. There's an honesty to the fact that there is a deep state, but the I guess the confusion, or the fact, not the confusion, because they're not confused. The fact of the matter is what they're fighting for doesn't really belong to them. And I think that we would be, as we have been historically, benevolent to other human beings,
Yes.
when we are in our rightful place, and in our rightful place of ownership, control, if you will, rulership, not being this trading places thing that we've been dealing with for several hundred years. That's the thing. And people are probably maybe having difficulty seeing past MSM. You're an independent journalist, but MSM right now, it's like what today's it's 1 week before the midterms.
Yes.
And they are killing us. They are absolutely killing us with their side, where they, what they are trying to. And I would just advise us to stay away, period, from that not to participate in next Tuesday, because it's bad enough that they're literally like I said, we're dropping like flies. But here we go. The ones who create the chaos, they come in like the cavalry to rescue us from themselves.
Absolutely. And and I would challenge us to look beyond skin complexion and see that the whole globe or the whole world was enslaved by these nefarious beings that came to earth. And so, since the whole world was enslaved, the whole world is going to be liberated, because one of the universal laws, the first universal law, is that the universal law of oneness. And that is that everything is interconnected. Everything on the planet, every human being on the planet, every living thing, people, plants, animals, all sentient things, the water, the air that we breathe, the fish, the insects, we all came from source, and we all have source living within us. And if we decide to transition or die, as they say, we will all return to source. So we're all one. We're all in this together. So although I know here in America, we have indigenous people, and other places too, indigenous people, we have the Moors, we have Aboriginal people. I want to challenge, my desire is to challenge humanity to look beyond skin complexion, look beyond bloodline, and see that we are all God. We are all gods. We all came from God, and we will all return to God. As such, everything you do, everything you think will vibrate on a certain frequency, and it affects everybody. So it's important that we all keep our vibrations high, remember that we're all one, and unite together and fight together so that we can get rid of these nefarious beings and have joy, love, peace, prosperity, and abundance on this planet, which is what the Creator desires for all of us.
Yes, and I agree with you. I agree with you 110%. The lack of unity is a deterrent for us. Because there are more of us, believe it or not, than they are. The fact when we become unified, even though I know minority is a misnomer of what they the mislabeling of us. When you think in terms of these little islands that we create, because I'm against you and you're against him, and he's against her and we're against them. We create these little minor islands, if you will, unto ourselves, and then we are really minorities because they know how to pull themselves together and become, if you will, I'm just going to say, a continent. You know, we want to be little islands and say that we and wonder why we can't make it, because we need to come together, if you will, and I don't mean a real continent, but as a continent. We need not just a country, but a continent with countries all working and coming together. And that's the thing that's going to defeat what the oppression and the tyranny that we have been dealing with all of these years. And folks don't seem to get it. They don't, they don't want to acquiesce their little bit of power to be working together and let the natural leadership happen. You don't have to fight to be the king of the hill. Just do what it is you're here to do, and it will naturally, your leadership abilities. And I know you teach leadership. So leadership, I don't know, but I want to say that leaders are both born, but creation helps because of the experience that one allows themselves to go through, begins to build character. And a lot of us have a lack of character. And so we can't come together because we don't know who we are.
Right.
And when we unify, if you agree,
absolutely,
have oneness of mind, it's sort of the mastermind. See, they have mastermind groups, right? Talk about that. They do mastermind groups. And what is a mastermind? From what I understand, you tell me, but I'm going to tell you. Well, from what I understand or understand, a mastermind group, a group comes together and they do it, on a higher, these might be millionaires coming together. But when they do come together, even though they have their own sort of kingdoms, if you will, fiefdoms, they come together and, okay, you have a situation or an outcome that you want. So instead of me working on mine and him on hers, we are going to focus on your thing. And with that, and when I say your thing, I'm saying one thing. So we're focusing our attention, our energy, our manifestation. We are all making that. And when that one happens, then we move to the next thing. Right? So nobody's saying, well, look, I think my project is, no, they come together and they make 1,000-year plans. And they make sure that their children's children know, what's supposed to happen, when it's supposed to happen. And even if they're not gone, their seed is perpetuating what is not us.
Yes. Yeah, the Bible says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Yes, so right. Like you're saying, there are people that are planning 100,000, 500,000 year plans for eons to take care of their posterity, whereas you have some of us thinking about what's going to happen on the weekend. Or maybe we have a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, and that's good. However, if you desire to make sure that your bloodline or your family, your posterity, your children's children, humanity, everybody on the planet, if you want to desire to ensure that happens, then you have to have a plan and you have to have mastermind groups. So what happened in our reality is that these nefarious beings created programs that divided us. They created programs that divided people by race, ethnicity, social constructs, gender, which we know there's a law of gender. There are 2 genders, but I mean, they put in programs or paradigms to cause us to fight against each other instead of having families to come together, people to come together, communities to come together, world leaders to come together and figure out how to live in harmony. So this is very important for us to do, is to get rid of those paradigms of division and remember that we're all a part of the whole. We're all a part of the one. We all came from the source. And every single thought that you have and every single thought that I have vibrates on a frequency. One of the laws of the universe is the law of vibration. Everything has energy and it vibrates. It has a frequency. It has a rhythm or a pattern. So my thoughts affect the next person and everybody around me, whether they're Black, white, or otherwise. And that's why I don't like race, the concept of race, because it makes us think in segments. When you walk into the room, if your vibration is high and you're happy and joyous, you have a positive outlook on life, you have an abundance mindset, you know within your soul that no matter how things look, that the creator has your best interest in heart, you will raise the frequency and the vibration and the mood of everybody around you. It doesn't even matter what their skin complexion looks like. On the contrary, if you enter a room or you go outside and you have a negative mindset or a scarcity mindset, and you're vibrating on that frequency, then your mood and your energy impacts the person next to you. It impacts the environment. It impacts the animals. It impacts the flowers. It impacts the water, even, and the air that we breathe. So it's so important for us to dismantle or get rid of or say, I do not consent to any of those paradigms that cause division. Because here's the thing that my son taught me, who's an economist. Race isn't even about ethnicity, and it's not about skin complexion. When you study the so-called top 1%, like economy and things like that they try to keep away from most of the people, they teach you that the concept of race is a race to resources, trying to run to gather the resources. It wasn't even about the social construct of color. So let's get our minds away from thinking about color and sex and gender and all that, and just think about us all being from the creative source. And remember that everybody has a frequency and a vibration. As such, there's a law called the law of action. It's a universal law. It's not even just your energy that matters, it's what you put into action. To your point, your plan coming together, beginning with the end in mind, seeing the goal, and then writing out steps and actually achieving each step until you achieve the ultimate goal. Not just for tomorrow, not just for the weekend, but hundreds and thousand-year plans. Because some of you listening right now, that's under the sound of our voices, you are the ones that the creator has chosen to create humanitarian projects. Some of you have silver and gold, not just to hoard it. Some of you have exotic currencies like your Iraqi dinar, your Vietnamese dong, your Zimbabwean zim, your Venezuelan bolivar, because you know at some point they're going to revalue. And some of you will use that as a good steward to create humanitarians for people all across the globe. Some of you have been tapped on the shoulders to be the ones to clean up the waters, to be the ones to go to another country and create gardens and farms. Some of you will do it right in your backyard or in other neighborhoods or in other countries. So the reason why I'm saying this is it's so important for us to understand and understand that we are one, that we must come together and work and create plans, like Dr. G said, not just for today or tomorrow, but having mastermind groups and having 1,000-year plans, because the creator is calling upon you to do that, and you must be a good steward. So turn off the mainstream media, turn off everything that's not conducive to your joy, turn off or do not consent to anything that will keep you from living your purpose on this earth, or keep you from doing what the creator has called you to do for humanity, and only consent to those things that will raise your vibrations, that will help you in your efforts to help the globe and humanity all across this beautiful planet.
I heard you say, and that's awesome. Thank you so much for,
Yes,
just enforcing what I was trying to say.
No, you did a wonderful job.
But listen, Dr. Kia, I was going to say, and I heard you mention these other exotic currencies, and you mentioned the Zim, the Bolivar. Some folks had the first thing I ever heard way back in the day, I had dinar. Yes. And I got so frustrated holding on to dinar that I sold it back to the place I got it from for half of what I paid for it, which I probably should not have done. but and probably most of the, when I was looking into the backstory of the dinar, when those soldiers were coming out of, what was it, Iraq or so forth, and they, when they were, when the, where the dinar was created, the U.S. created the dinar. They were, I think, 600 USDs, and they got like a million dinar or something like that value of dinar. And so many of them invested, and it's been, I want to say, at least 10 plus years that they, a lot of those folks are probably no longer here, and they, they invested. Like I said, I gave mine back, but I do, I did later on, and thank you to brother John Hayes, who has also, his free national name. It always gets, Shakur, brother Shakur. He started sending me, this brother started sending me Zimbabwe currency, because he says, because Dr. G, you'll be able to, I want you to be able to use this and help the Moorish nation, help the Moors. And he would, this brother was sending and sending. He was giving it. I mean, he invested to the tune, and I'm not, to the tune of, he invested everything he had in this currency, and was giving it out. And he, he said so much to me. I'm like, and he would call me over the last few years and say, it's about to happen. It's about to happen. He recently then got me into the is it the Boulevard?
Yes.
Venezuela Boulevard. So got Zims, got Boulevard, don't have dinar. Are those currencies also, I think I heard you say, they will revalue to the point where they all will have the universal value? I mean, for instance, we don't normally have funds over here in 50 million.
Right.
Like I got 100 million Boulevard.
Yes.
Just one item. So how would something like that, like the Zims and the Boulevard, how would that be? Because they're talking about, you'll get a phone call, and you'll have to go to a secret place to cash out. If I think the Zims were tied to humanitarian projects, you got a higher rate of exchange if you had a plan for, say, humanitarian projects, things that were going to, not I'm going to take care of me and my family. That would not be considered humanitarian. Right. I don't hear that about the Blues. Can you give us some background on those who may have invested, like myself, in currencies like that? Those exotic currencies, and where does that?
So what happened is, just to give a background, is when the United States Corporation, also known as the United States of America, would go into countries to cause war, they would fund both sides of the war, but they would decimate the economy of that country. And when they decimated the economy of that country, that would cause the dollars to lose value. So when that happened, people that worked in the military and governmental agents and politicians would buy up the currency while it was significantly devalued, and hold it and hoard it. And then the United States of America Corporation would go back into that nation, rebuild it up, and the currency of that nation would revalue and go up higher in value once the economy was built up and the country was built up. So those people who bought the currency at a very, very low value when it was devalued would then go to the bank and exchange it and get a whole lot of money. So the example that we have of that happening was in Kuwait. And you all can look this up, look up Kuwaiti dinar revalues 1991. What happened is we had a war in Kuwait. My brother was served in that war, but we didn't know about the currencies at that time. When that war happened, they devalued the currency. They destroyed their economy. A lot of higher up military men, a lot of politicians bought up the Kuwaiti dinar, held on to it. Once they built up the country back up, their currency also exploded and went up in value. Those politicians became millionaires and some of them billionaires. So that's how a lot of the politicians and high up military made money. But we, the people, didn't know about that
No.
unless you had military connections. So I just recently met a friend who said he and his brother actually became, I've known him for like 5 years, but he and his brother were millionaires. His brother is a multimillionaire because the Kuwaiti dinar revalued. He was only a millionaire, not a multimillionaire, because he got, discouraged and sold some of it back before it revalued. So what's happening now is that our creator and the Galactic Federation of Light, or those beings that are here, the benevolent beings that are here helping to liberate humanity, has let us, we the people, know about this scheme of how they revalue currencies. So you have countries like Iraq, who was war torn, Vietnam, Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe was once called Zimbabwe the Great because it was the greatest, one of the greatest nations on the planet. But when the United States put sanctions on them or destroyed these countries with war, then their currency came down in value. They had to keep printing money in order for people to buy more goods because their dollars weren't worth anything. So now you have higher denominations like the Zimbabwean dim. The highest denominations is 100 trillion, but it's worth nothing. I mean, at least to right now, it's worth nothing. So when we return to the gold standard, which Zimbabwe had made an announcement actually in 2016, 2017, that they returned to the gold standard. I've been following this for a long time. But when it's an official announcement that these countries have returned to the gold standard, then their devalued currency will again be revalued based on the gold and the resources of those nations. So if you hold those currencies and have bought them inexpensively while they're devalued, when we return to the gold standard, it will all happen at once. Countries are making announcements one by one, soft disclosure, behind the scenes. You have to look and be able to see what's going on. But once it's official, then you'll be able to actually go to a lawful constitutional bank, because the banking system is being right now revamped. You'll be able to go to a bank and actually turn in your currency, your currency that you have now, and get an exchange or a revalued amount, which would be much higher than it once was. So in Kuwait, I think it revalued from being worthless to like $3.51 above the USD, something like that. So look up Kuwaiti dinar revalue. You'll be able to see how when it revalued, it happened quietly. Nobody even knew it except for the people that held it. So for us, again, people are saying you're going to go to an exchange center. My intel are people who are part of farmers' claims, which led to Nasara, which led to the people or the military taking down the deep state. You probably know about Nasara, but those farmers and military people have told me that you won't necessarily go to an exchange center. You'll actually be able to go to a bank. And let me tell you this, family, if it sounds incredible, then consider this. Look up President Trump speaks about Soleimani. President Trump speaks on Soleimani. Look that up on YouTube. Or Trump has a Fox interview about Soleimani. It's a very important interview because what he said, it's a good interview. The whole interview is about an hour long. You should listen to it. But towards the end, he said something very important for those of you who know about exotic currencies. The Fox interviewer asked him, she said, what are you going to do about Iraq? You've been supporting Iraq and, you've built up the roads there. And, you've protected Iraq. What are you going to do about Iraq? And President Trump said, we're going to make everybody that we've taken care of and that we've protected pay us back. As a matter of fact, we just made South Korea pay us $500 billion. It's either $500 million or $500 billion. He said, but in terms of what I think about Iraq, he said, we built up their railroads that they're better than every railroad I've seen here in America. He said, I wish we had those type of railroads that we rebuilt over in Iraq, in New York. He said, but I'll tell you what, we have billions of their money sitting in our banks right now. Why is that important? That is important because for the president, the then president of the United States of America, and some of us believe he's still the commander in chief, but okay, for the then president to say our country has billions of Iraq's money sitting in our banks now is a signal and a key, is something to let us know that if that money was not going to revalue, we probably wouldn't be having it in our banks. So I'm saying that to encourage you that if you do have exotic currencies, it will revalue when all countries officially move to the gold standard. So we know that, look up Project Sandman, that over 100, well, I say 209 countries agreed behind the scenes to return to the gold standard. And we can see countries actually making official announcements that we're going to the gold standard, that we've left the United States dollar, which was the world reserve currency. So we can see that this is going to happen, and it's going to happen very soon.
Wow. Wow. So I mean, there, like you said, there are things going on behind the scenes that we are not aware, but the things
Yes.
that we do seem to see, the things that are being pushed are the narratives that elicit fear
Yes.
and anxiety and so forth. And we know that those are programming and tactics that we've been dealing with, and I said something to somebody the other day, and maybe it was brother Joel who's in the comments section,
Okay.
relation Joel. I think I asked him and shout out to him for fixing and putting in a new thermostat in House of Real Awakening Minds over the weekend, and Sister Francesca coming all the way from Khalifa, and Sister Beverly and Brother Warren. They came and got some work done this weekend. But I was saying to him, I said, doesn't it just feel different to you?
Mm-hmm.
The atmosphere
Mm-hmm.
of just, if you walk outside, I feel like I'm somewhere else. And
Yeah.
I said to him, I think, and he can correct me because he's in the chat. It's almost like we shifted into a different
Yeah.
I don't know, dimension or
Yeah.
do you feel the air of the change?
Yes.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it's not just like every now and then, but every day it doesn't feel like prior to 2020.
Yes, absolutely. Because what was happening, you spoke about the negative energy, the fear, the angst, the anxiety, the terror that we had because of all the programs, the bad movies, the dying, all those things that were happening around us, the low vibrational music, the 808 beat that's in the music causes you to vibrate at a low chakra, causes you to focus on your sacral chakra, just dealing with sex and all your basic needs. So all those things that were happening to bring down our vibrations was done for a purpose, because when that happens, when you're fearful, when you're in a survivalist mode, when you're angry, when you're in pain, when you're sad, or your emotions are in flux, you emit loosh. And loosh is a psychic energy, yes, that comes from your body when you have low vibrational moods. And that loosh or psychic energy is what those nefarious beings who had come to the planet to enslave the planet, they eat that, they absorb that energy. So what happened, and I remember number 45 was talking about during the 4th of July celebration. It might have been 2018, 2019-ish. He said, we've done all we can. It was a big celebration. They had a nice display in the air shows, and it was just beautiful, and fireworks going off. He said, I put a lot of money into the military. And people got mad because they didn't understand what he was saying. I put a lot of money in the military, and we've done everything in our power to secure the skies. What he was saying was, we put a lot of money in the military because it was actually the military that was fighting against these hybrids, these human hybrids, and these non-human entities and beings, and exiting them or taking them off the planet. And then we secured the skies. We made the skies safe. So they're out of this reality. They're out of this realm. And now they're locked up, like the Bible talks about. It talks about Satan being in chains for 1,000 years, and then you will have 1,000 years of peace. So when most of those, or all of those entities were sent off of this planet and the skies were secured, then you felt humanity actually raising in consciousness and the vibrations of the planet increasing, which is what caused us to feel better. Additionally, you had them neutralizing the chemtrails. So sometimes you still see something in the sky, but a lot of that is actually something to heal and to negate and to fight off all of those chemicals that were harming us, to now cause they put some type of medicine in there to fight against that word that we were fighting, that sickness, and also to help to raise the vibrations. So you had the exit of those beings, you had them cleaning up the air, you have there are some lakes like in California, water that's sprung up out of nowhere that's clean. You have people like you and me sharing the good news, and all of our soul family here, choosing to have an abundance mindset. That's what proactive people do. Proactive people realize they have a choice. They don't have to react and act based on emotions, based on feelings, based on the way things see with their eyes. Proactive people, those of us, we say we're going to act or respond. We choose to respond, and we choose to do so in a positive manner. And so when we do that, we're raising the vibrational frequencies of the planet. So you have all those things working together that's causing a whole different reality. And even that is a choice. Some people are still operating in the third dimension. Some people are still angry. Some people are still, it's not a whole lot of them, because we're lifting them up with our energy. Remember, every thought ripples across the whole planet and we're changing it. But some people are in 3 or 4D, whereas there are some of us that are moving beyond 4 and 5D. But everything is a choice. It's all up to each individual which reality they will choose to live in.
Yes, I'm looking to see there was questions. Here's I'm gonna, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure. Yes.
Can you please ask Dr. Kia where to buy these currencies and what notes to start with?
Yes. I would say, excuse me, you can go to Great American Coin Company. That they have Indonesian rupiah. They have the Zimbabwean zim. They should have the Vietnamese dong. So you can go to Great American Coin Company. You can go to 100trillions.com. That's the 100 trillions, TRILLIONS.com. Let's see who else. Nick, there's somebody called by the name of Nicholas Vignaneman on YouTube. If you go to his YouTube channel, he has a website too that you can buy currencies, from which you can buy currencies. You can also go to, let's see, where else? eBay. Just be careful. So, because sometimes some things on eBay may not be authentic. So if you choose to shop from eBay because it's less expensive, make sure the note that you get comes with a certificate of authenticity.
I do that, Dr. Kia, Banknote World on eBay. Now this and it's here's the certificate of you're right. It comes with a certificate of authenticity every time I get, and these are Boulevard. Now it was interesting with this Boulevard because brother, I'm sorry, he told me about this, and it was like 80 USDs at the time for 100. What was it? 100. I think it was. It says it right here. What did I get? Oh, here it is. So I got 100 million, 1 million Boulevard, right? For 80 notes. The 2 weeks after I got it for 80 notes, the same thing cost $1,500.
Wow.
I paid 80 for 100 million. This is 100 million.
Okay.
And Two weeks later, it was up to over 1,400.
Must be a high demand.
Yeah. So but the company in there, they do give you, it's called Bank Note World. If you go on eBay and it's for Boulevard, go to Banknote World. I have several different, and they send their stuff in a hard package,
Yes.
supports, and they send you authenticity certificates with it. So they are legitimate on eBay. If anybody is interested. But yeah, there's hopefully y'all took note of those, the ones that somebody's asking if you have an Instagram. If you look at the bottom of the description for tonight's program of this interview, I have all of Dr. Kia's links. So if you're on YouTube, go down and click on the description, program description, and then when you look down, I think it's like 4 or 5 different links for you. Your Instagram, your YouTube channel, and all of that. Your yeah, it's there. Also, if you're on Facebook, there's in the description, I put the links there. Yeah, right. So just so you'll know. Yeah, this is amazing. This is absolutely awesome. I told y'all this was going to be an awesome discussion, and I just love watching you. And I'm going to shift. I'm going to switch up a bit.
Okay.
To you. I said to you all. I said she's very versatile. She's a journalist and independent journalist and economist, and she's up on with what she needs to be up on. But she also gets intel on other things. And so there was a broadcast that I saw, Dr. Kia.
Yes, ma'am.
And maybe a few weeks ago or a month ago, I don't know when it was, but I saw it maybe in the last couple of weeks, and then we had a discussion. Do you mind? And so I pulled it up. Do you mind if it was called Breaking Dead Actors? Let me see that one. I want to, if you don't mind, I would like to bring up, and I have it queued up, because about halfway through, because you say some interesting stuff. So
sure.
See, y'all, I'm going to share something. Let me see how I do this. Window, Chrome tab, select, share. Let me see if I can get this to the fullness. Is it showing?
Yes, ma'am.
We see
the story. His dad was alive when he died in 2021, as I may have said earlier, along with all the other people. Now, there is something I want to talk about, and that is Elvis Presley and Whitney Houston. Elvis Presley is still alive. There have been people who attend his church that have talked to me. But what I really want to tell you is that Elvis Presley was actually a character, of course, that was created and played by twins, Jesse and his twin brother. I cannot think of the twins brother's name. So Jesse has a daughter that I know and that I met years ago who was actually sold into child sex trafficking. And remember, whenever you work for these people or you were born into these families, you're forced to do certain things. And if you don't go with the program, they will get rid of your family members or sell them into sex trafficking through CPS. So I met Jesse's daughter, and he was telling me about how Elvis, one of the characters, I think it was Elvis, had actually, or one of the twins had actually gone into working for the FBI. He had gone underground and joined the good factions of the FBI, or the white hats, to help take down the deep state. So he, Michael Jackson, and a lot of these people who are on that list actually worked for the good beings. And if you recall, Michael Jackson told you that, I think, was it Tommy Mottola and some of these other people, the handlers that actually controlled the entertainers, were evil. These people will kill you and get rid of your children. So Jesse had a daughter, or his wife had a daughter, that the two of them had a daughter that was sold into child sex trafficking. And she introduced me to Whitney Houston's eldest daughter. Whitney Houston had a child when she was a teenager that most people don't know about. Her daughter's name is Rena. She's a very good friend of mine. The three of us are very close because the two of them, Elvis's daughter and Whitney's daughter, are actually related. So Rena Houston is the eldest daughter of Whitney. Whitney had a baby when she was a teenager, and this could not come out because she had a very clean persona, which she is. I mean, she sang angelic music even as a teenager. She sang in a church choir. She is the daughter of Sissy Houston. I put daughter in quotes of Sissy Houston for a reason. And so the handlers took the child away from her and sold Rena into child sex trafficking. And she had a horrendous life, as did Elvis Presley's daughter, because the people that handled them was in control to some extent of their trust or of the money that they were paid, and to hide them and take care of them, but they did not take care of them. They abused them. They took their children away from them. They assaulted them. And so Whitney Houston's daughter and Elvis Presley's daughter found each other actually later on in life, and we all connected and became close, which is how and why. Some people ask me, how is it that you're able to talk about some of these things that other YouTubers have been taken down for speaking on? And that's because I don't have any type of clearance, but that's because I'm protected in certain ways.
I'm going to stop right there. Let me see. Let me see. Let me stop. Okay. All right, y'all. And which led me somewhere, which we've talked about.
Yes, ma'am.
When I heard you talk about that. So that is, an amazing story, because for all that we know, that the public knows, Bobby Christina was the only child, if you will, of Whitney Houston. And I was, after I heard you, I actually found an interview. She wasn't shown on that particular interview, but her voice, and she was being interviewed by an activist. I don't remember the woman's name, who was getting the story from her about, how she had, come to see her. She had met Bobby Christina, and her mother came to see her, and how, I think shortly after was when she, was taken out, so to speak. Yes. So tell us, about, that experience of knowing and working, being a friend to both of these young women.
Okay. I was looking down because I was texting Rena, and she said, "I'm on, sweetheart. I'm here with you." So she's watching the show. She's here watching, as well as Elvis's daughter, Kendra. Kendra is I got permission to mention her name, that she's watching with us. I get really emotional when I talk about this, so please excuse me. I love Rena so much, and Kendra. And I'm glad they're with me, because she gave me permission to speak on this. So sometimes I get uncomfortable talking about it, but I do have her permission. She gave me her blessing again today. She knew it would come up. You knew, Rena. I had no idea. But Whitney Houston has an eldest daughter, and her name is Rena Houston. Rena was taken away from Whitney because Whitney had a baby when she was a teenager. And in Hollywood, the way they control you is they will take your children away from you, and they will hold that child over your head in order to force you to do certain things. If you look at, there's a song, I mentioned it in there. Rena, can you text me or put in the chat what the name of that song is? I Get So Emotional. Thank you, Whitney. There's a song, if you look up on YouTube and you see the video of Whitney singing I Get So Emotional. Towards the end of that concert, she goes to the crowd and they hold up a baby, and Whitney bows down and kisses the baby. That is Rena. So Rena was taken away from Whitney and sold into child sex trafficking through various channels such as CPS, which I hope I can say that, but some of those 3-letter organizations. Thank you, Rena. She texted, so emotional. Yeah, I was thinking that too. Some of these 3-letter entities are actually nefarious, and they sell children into sex trafficking. So they took Rena, sold her into sex trafficking, and she went to several foster homes. But there was one lady in particular who was over that, and she was the handler. So Rena grew up knowing that something wasn't right. You know, you can feel it when people are mistreating you. You can feel it because these people, the handler was supposed to be the real mother. So she's wondering, why do I have a real mother, but I keep being changed to different foster homes? So the real mother or the fake mother was actually a handler. So that happened to Rena, and the same thing happened to Kendra, my friend, my good friend, my sister. I call her my sister. Kendra, she was sold into sex trafficking. That's Elvis's daughter. So they grew up not knowing who their family members were. And this is what happens in Hollywood, because Hollywood is a part of the machine. They're part of the nefarious entities that install mind control programs, and they have certain people to play roles. So they have entertainers, they have singers and actors and all that. That some of them are born into this, and they have to operate behind, against their will. And if they don't do what they say, they will sell your children and torture your children while your child is away from you, and then let you know that we're doing this to your child, we're raping your child, we're abusing your child, we're molesting your child, so you better conform to what we say. Well, as somehow Kendra, Elvis's daughter, met Rena, who is her niece. Rena is Kendra's niece. She met Rena and they connected, and they brought each other up to speed because they remember each other as children. I don't even know how they got connected. I don't know if the military did. I don't know who did it. I haven't gotten that story. Kendra, you probably told me. I just don't remember. So when that happened, Kendra contacted me because Kendra and I were a part of other groups. And so Kendra connected Rena and me. And so Kendra and I became very close friends. And that's how I learned the story. And some people keep saying there might be some other connection that I'm not aware of between us. I just don't know. But when we got connected, Rena began to tell me her story about how Whitney was her mother. Rena had written books about her mom, and I don't know if she knew that Whitney was her mom or not. I don't know. She might have she overheard a story, or she overheard something. But to make a long story short, Whitney got a hold of Rena's book. So you all can Google Rena Houston, and her books, they actually did very well abroad. Like they were #1 bestsellers when she told a story. And Whitney got a hold of the book. But somebody tried to use the book to, like, they were saying, like, oh, your daughter doesn't even know where you are. They were saying some very disparaging things about Rena, like your daughter doesn't even know where you are. And, we got this information from her book. And so Whitney read the book. And then in the book, Rena had happened to leave her address. And Whitney went to visit her daughter, Rena. And she told me today, East St. Louis, Illinois, in 2010. Oh, she said the handlers gave her book. The handlers gave Rena's book to Whitney to try to torture Whitney. But it kind of backfired because they thought it was going to destroy Whitney. So it did in a way, because, people were like, she was on drugs. Her career went downhill. Yes, because if somebody steals your child and sells them into a sex ring and you don't get to see them, and they torture you and hold these stories over you, and your child is living in abject poverty, and you can't get to her, you can't help her, you can't see her, you can't save her, you can't deliver her. And I have something to say about all these people who know about Rena, knew she was existing, her and Kendra, and have done nothing to help her. She and Kendra have lived in abject poverty, because if the parents tried to go see them, they were killed, which eventually happened. So Whitney went to St. Louis, Illinois in 2010 and in 2011, and met her daughter and told her daughter, I'm your mother. This is what happened. And then all the stories, came flooding in to Rena. Like everything started making sense. She started remembering seeing Kendra. She started remember seeing, I don't know if I could say his name, Rena, but another guy who grew up in a foster home with them, who's part of the military, who actually is helping me. So is helping us, excuse me. So I don't know how much you want me to get into the story. But
well, I mean, I'm just, really, I know there's some things you can't say, and yes, I don't want you to say it, but just the fact that, and this happens a lot, apparently, and I shared with you my other insight, which I'm not going to say,
Yes,
but because it's just that, you are absolutely in a position where, the Most High, has given you access
yes,
to
ma'am.
information that probably, the average, individual would not be able to get, you know. So
Yes, Dr. G.
I'm looking at a comment in the chat, and Sister Rose reads. She's saying, "I'm lost." I guess the story. You can actually check out, and when you go to Dr. Kia Pruitt on YouTube, to her channel, you can find the one that says "Breaking Dead Actors." Let me make sure I know. So just so you reported dead actors reportedly alive, proof conversation and videos revealed. So I didn't want to play the whole thing, but just to have you talk about it a little bit, because I also want you all to know that even though she's very with fluent in economics and in finance and so forth, there's other things, of course, and then of course you work with women and to help with the bringing is that they're in a goddess or and femininity and so forth and elegance, and so you do a lot of things.
Yes,
And then you exhibit and exude what what you teach, what you teach, and I just you're humble, you see you so fierce, but to talk to you, you're one of the most humble women that I have probably ever met.
Dr.
And
G.
I also thank you. And what can I say this? Also, thank you for agreeing to be part of the war. The women are ready, because we absolutely have to do better. We have to create, like you said, the reality that we want. It's going to have to be created, and it has to be created purposely. It can't be done haphazardly. It can't be done with you wanting this and me wanting that. We have to want the same thing. And like I said about mastermind groups, until it happens, we need to manifest a better world, manifest the changing of the guard, so to speak, manifest the return, of those things that were taken from us. We need to manifest the end of the usurpation that we've been, and the occupation that we've been under. We can do it, and they're not, carnal methods. These are spiritual, getting on one accord, detoxing from MSM and the programming, and it's not just there, because the programming took place where in schools, institutions of higher learning. And as Grand Sheik said, we were never, we were educated, but we were not, that was animal husbandry. We were supposed to get erudite training, become erudite scholars. You've been places where it says, "Oh, it's so good to be amongst this august group of erudite scholars." Well, most of us were like, "What does that word mean?" When all of us should have become erudite if we were given the proper knowledge or access to it. But we have been systematically, cut off from the truth, and then reprogrammed, it's almost like that story of the eagle who as a baby was raised by chickens, and so the chickens didn't fly. And the eagle did the same thing the chickens did, and went around the barnyard, the farmyard, and ate all the crap and whatever was thrown on the ground, until one day another eagle looked down and was noticing that that's not a chicken, that's an eagle down there in the chicken coop, and flew down from his lofty position and schooled that eagle as to that. Not only are you not a chicken, but you're the greatest bird that ever lived, and you were born to soar above everything. You have pinpoint laser vision and accuracy, and taught that eagle to shed that "I can't fly" chicken mentality and become the eagle that it always was. It's like that's how we are. Somebody has convinced us that we are chickens, and we need to be scratching around, in the barnyard, like I said, with the other chickens. But we're not. We're eagles, and these kinds, like your show,
Yes,
and,
ma'am.
and hopefully what we do is to try to bring people out of that
That's
that
right.
mindset, that mindset. I mean, and again, you mentioned, like the extraterrestrials or the galactic, not extraterrestrial, the galactic family.
Yes.
We need to prepare ourselves. Why do you think they've been
Yeah.
showing us all these movies?
Yeah.
Now I think maybe they've been showing us some things that are not what we are going to see. In
Mm-hmm.
other words, they've been trying to scare the heck up out of us to because those are the things that they're going to present.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But the real galactic family, while they may not look exactly like us, I don't think it's the stuff
Mm-hmm.
that we've been bombarded with in movies. What do you say to that?
Yes, I think they have all different colors, all different shapes. And I know that it's important for us to get our acts together because, I mean, we need to learn to love ourselves and learn to love the human so called race or human beings. Because if we can't get along and we have a hard time loving people because they have different skin complexions, imagine how challenging it might be for you to see somebody who's blue or purple or has no color at all, you know. So we're going to meet them. They have come and they have decided that it's almost time for them to actually introduce themselves to us. So yes, family, be ready. Not only will you meet them, but you're going to meet your mentor because we all have one or two mentors or several mentors. You've heard of the concept of guardian angels. What that is either an angel, an angelic being, somebody from another realm. These are galactic people to whom we've been assigned. You're going to meet families of them, but you're going to also meet your mentors. And when it's time and when they believe and when they know that you're ready, you're going to go through light chambers. And when you go through the light chamber with your mentor, your body is going to change. Remember, the scriptures talk about your body changing in a moment of a twinkling of an eye when Christ returns. That's really about when you reach Christ consciousness. Well, there may be a Christ being, but I'm talking about Christ consciousness. When you reach a certain level of godliness or you've risen, your vibrations have risen, your mentor is going to take you through the light chamber. Your body will change to a crystalline body, and then you will be the same person, but you'll just have a better physical type of vehicle. And that vehicle will not need regular food. That vehicle will absorb energy like our galactic family. And we will be able to manifest or materialize things with our thoughts. So that's going to come probably later on down the line. But it's interesting to know that it is going to happen. The precursor to that is them introducing themselves to us, probably in the very near future.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there were comments or questions I can actually
I know the sister said that she was lost, and I guess what I just want to bring to her is that everything is relative, as we said, and sometimes we think about our lives being so bad, but can you imagine being in a position where your child is sold away from you? So that's what happened with Rena and Kendra. Kendra's Elvis's daughter, Rena's Whitney's daughter. They were sold into child sex trafficking, and they were not allowed to do well. So they were living in abject poverty all of their lives. So when you're in that type of lifestyle, they send people to you. They send mates to you. They send people to you to keep, that you think you're going to a job interview. They actually position people in place to keep you in poverty. So they were not allowed to thrive. And to this day, they are struggling, except for, people like some of our soul family who can help, because their real family members are not allowed to take care of them or to help them. It's it's incredible and hard to believe, but it's very real and it's very sad. And even their children were taken away from them, and some of their children were turned against them. These are the mind games that they play. They play against the people in Hollywood and entertainment that they control, that the handlers control. They do things to your children so that they can control you. Now, I mentioned that Leola, I think her name is Leola, Bobby Brown's sister, knows about
Viola Brown.
Leola Brown. Yes, you can look it up. And there's an article where she says Yeah, I heard that Whitney Houston had an older child, and if that's the case, I'm going to do everything that I can to help her. She knows. She's had many conversations. I've seen pictures actually of even Rena being at the gravesite because Sissy allowed her to go to the gravesite, but Sissy is not her real mother. She's a handler, allegedly. She's not her real mother. And they're just some, these people know that they exist. You can even see the National Enquirer did a story. Somebody, I'm not going to say her name, made a lot of money giving that information about Rena to the National Enquirer and didn't give Rena 1 penny. And yes, Rena is really Whitney's biological daughter. She looks just like her. You can look at, she sounds just like her. I've seen the DNA test between Rena and Bobby Christina, and it shows a match that they are siblings. People know that she exists. I have an issue with the people that's trying to access her estate and get her money and keep information away from her and try to suppress her story. But the thing about God and truth is that what doesn't come out in the wash will come out in the rinse. So all the things they try to keep out and suppress about Rena Houston and about Kendra, Elvis's daughter, it's going to come out. And all you nefarious beings that's trying to get Whitney's money, that's trying to keep Elvis, who is now a pastor, and everybody, I know people who goes to his church, all those people, you're trying to keep her from getting her trust. What you didn't know is a trust is a lawful document that holds and protects a person's assets, and that does not allow anybody else to access that trust except for who the trustee deems or the grantor deems to have access to the trust. So Whitney was brilliant, is brilliant. I'm speaking in the present. Elvis is brilliant. You won't be able to access the trust, my darling, because that's lawful. You can't go to probate court. A will is different from the trust. A will has to go through probate. It has to go through court. The judge and the lawyers make themselves rich, and they decide who gets access to the money, who gets access, no matter what a person says or their wishes are. But see, smart people don't just do wills, or maybe not even do a will. They will do a trust. Okay. And the trust actually identifies, holds the assets, manages the assets. And the only people that can have access to those assets is whoever the grantor deems. So you can't access her trust, my darlings. So you might as well quit, because God is in control. You can't access Kendra's funds either. And God is going to release them. And God is going to move and cause people like me to tell the story until the truth happens, until the chains are broken, until Satan, who has been running roughshod in their lives, has completely been obliterated. I just had to say my piece.
That's all right. That's all right. I mean, because this is for a lot of the viewers and the ones who will see this. This is absolutely new information, and is something that's going to stick with them. It's not they're going to be you can actually look up, and somebody put it in the text. I think the interview I saw was with Essie Berry, which somebody did put in. Essie Berry is the activist that I don't know if she's still working with her, but that was the interview. No, but that was that interview from like maybe 4 years or so ago or more.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So
a lot of people that actually who had told her story before, some people in high places got a hold of them. I don't know what happened to Essie, but they got a hold of them, and then so they had to kind of retract. Back out. Yes, but see, I don't know those people, those handlers. They haven't contacted me.
Right. Well, listen, we're grateful that you have divine protection, and you had you were given, if you will, a divine commission.
Yes, ma'am.
To do what you do, and that's the reason why you're able, to do this. Yeah. So but it's just amazing. It's just amazing. And so somebody asked, I saw it says, where did I see this? Here's the question. Somebody says, where does Dionne Warwick come into all of this? I spelled it wrong.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. But it's probably not. I don't think it's the answer based on what you and I talked about. it doesn't, she
Yes.
does, but she doesn't.
Right.
There's a connection, but not what one might think.
Right.
And so so when it's just and I'm grateful. I'm a diviner. I use I do pendulum work, and I mostly do pendulum work based on a download. I get a download, and the download tells me to ask the pendulum certain things, and it's a rabbit hole. It takes me down, and normally when I get the answers, then I sit and wait, and then somebody outside, external, comes and gives the verification to the very thing, that was given. And in the case of, and I don't know whether you shared it with Rena, but you did. I think you did.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
But what I got, and I hope she prays on it, looks into it. But I have asked every which way that same one, and it keeps coming back to that same person, and that same setup.
Yes, ma'am. And I really appreciate you too doing your spiritual work, because that it brings confirmation and peace in my soul, because of the backlash, that Rena has gotten and Kendra has gotten, people talking about him, it just being very disparaging. But it feels good for somebody on the so-called outside that's connected spiritually to say, yes, I can confirm this through my spiritual work, that the things, that you all are saying resonate with me.
Absolutely. I'm just going to see if anyone else has any questions as we are in these last 14 minutes or so. Please, if you will, and I'm sure Dr. Kia will answer.
Tell them to put a picture of Elvis next to Whitney and tell me what you see. I'll just leave that there.
That's interesting.
Yes.
But well, that's interesting. But I still, it doesn't change who, because that other was in the music business.
Yes, you told me. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
And I hadn't even heard of her until you told me.
And you looked her up?
I did. And I had a discussion with Rena, so we're looking into that.
Okay. All right.
And there are some things I don't know, because some things are just, their story and their story to tell, Rena and Kendra's. But what I do know, I'm as long as I have permission, I'm willing to share.
Here's a question somebody has. Appalachian Joel says, "What about med beds, Dr.?"
Yes. So med beds are real. You all have probably seen them in movies. What the med beds and other technologies that's given to us by our galactic family will come out. They will come online. So in the med bed, you'll be able to get inside of it, lay in it, and it will detect every ailment that's in your body and then cure you instantaneously. So that's real. We won't even have a need for the hospitals or the drugs or that whole company, that industry that start with PH. It used to be you couldn't even say the drug industry, the PH, because you would get a strike.
We won't talk about them.
Okay, so all those different things, a lot of those things tied to Western medicine will actually be eliminated because of the med beds.
And I believe now, I'm not sure if he got it, but he was supposed to get it in July, and I have not spoken with Dr. Mark Armstrong about whether or not it arrived, but he was expecting a med bed at his Ahimsky Center in Roswell, at least in Roswell, Georgia, so which is outside of Atlanta, and he was getting a med bed there, because he told me, he says, "Oh yeah, come down." So Dr. Mark, if you see this, I'm gonna come down and I want to get in that med bed. But yes, and they're not cheap by any stretch of the imagination.
Not yet.
But I'm told that when the government or the new what do we call this?
New reality.
This new reality comes about. That's going to be something that's available to people who need it, starting with the ones who are most been traumatized and victimized first, and then others who need it but not as much. Is that what you understand to be?
Absolutely. And some of you all might notice, but Michael Jackson had a med bed. I remember, I don't know if you all remember, he was laying inside a machine. That was a med bed. He had one. So, excuse me, it was only available to certain people. And right now you can gain access to it, but you were going to, like Dr. G said, you will spend a whole lot of money.
Yeah, you may get $1 million.
But eventually they will be available to everybody. All these things are going to change under the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, or the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. Nasara and Jassara, that's a law that was signed into law in 2000. That's going to bring in all these new technologies. It's going to eject trillions of dollars into the economy. It's going to wipe away all of our debt, all bank loans, credit card, automobile, student loan debt, all that, mortgages, all that's going to be wiped away. And you're going to have a dismantling of the court system, and all judges and lawyers have to be retrained in the constitutional law. So we're going to go from admiralty law and maritime law to constitutional law, all this beautiful, wonderful things. And each person on the planet will have a significant amount of money put into their quantum accounts every month. Like I've heard as much as $100,000 a month for 11 years into a non-interest bearing account to compensate us for all the nefarious banking activities that we were subjected to. So all these things are going to come out for our freedom, our liberty, our peace, our enjoyment, and our sovereignty.
And would you agree that it would be a good time to start agreeing that it is Ashe, so it is, so would it be, instead of buying into all of the gloom and doom, like
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, Dr. G. Yes. Ashe.
Yeah, it's a way of coming into oneness with it for manifestation. Again, it's the first steps of unity. I mean, if you like what you've heard Dr. Kia share, then Ashe. Think about it. Play this over until you can get it in your head. This is mine. This is coming to me. And I don't want it. I don't desire it. I allow it. Woo. And that's the thing. We got to start allowing things to happen. I allow those things, those breakthroughs.
Take us to church.
Yeah, look, we could do that. Two preachers, we got to. But seriously, we have to allow that. We have to. No, I don't deserve. No, you won't. You will. If you feel you don't deserve something, you will not be disappointed. You won't. You don't have to worry about it. But when you allow things to happen, there's things that you don't allow, but be specific about what you allow.
Wow.
And we don't allow programming anymore. We don't allow the nefarious activities to affect us or to affect us and our family and our finances. Start to allow what you do want, though. Just be real specific. I allow prosperity. I allow abundant health, abundant wealth, abundant, whatever it is, friends, and, whatever you want that's good. Leave the negative stuff out. Just allow the goodness. And that's what I've been doing. And I'm not going to say that everything is absolutely perfect, because the human side of me vacillates at times, because every now and then you may hear something that rattles your cage.
Absolutely.
See something, but you got to, right yourself and then get back on this is what I allow. So if you say that that's going to happen to everybody, and I'm talking about something negative, maybe it happens to everybody else, but it's not happening to me because I allow this. I allow peace and prosperity and, divine health and divine wealth and whatever, but I don't allow that. And that's the thing I think, we maybe dwell on a lot of times on those negative things and we put feet to them. You know what I mean? We give them access in our minds. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And the scripture talks about your thought life. You know what I mean? So you can't take those kinds of thoughts in, because if you do, they will take up residence.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. All of a sudden, there's like 27 comments jumped up. We can see. I know that's right to allow the good things. That's right. That's right. I am queens of that. Oh yeah, claim and own it. That's right. Absolutely.
Right. Yes.
And you know what? We can't end this without at least having we got like 5 minutes, but we can go. But you did something on and Yay and his he I
Oh,
guess about about I think you focused on the slavery being a choice.
yes, ma'am.
And but I Grashik and I've been paying attention to the
Mhm.
whole thing, and I just feel like the whole thing is a movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it's again another one of those things to say, see, if we could do this to him,
Mm.
guess what? We can just think about what we could do to you
Absolutely.
little nobodies, because we could just strip everything away. And I
Mhm.
feel like that's what that is. I mean, I don't
Mhm.
even know. My pendulum says we're dealing with a clone, but the clone
Mhm.
has been taken over by the so-called white hat side
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
expose what could happen.
Right.
You
Right.
know, I
Yeah.
don't know. The real one may be somewhere, but I don't really feel that that's
I feel the same thing. I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, I hope I'm not the only one that feel this way, but I don't think that's
the pendulum says it's not him.
okay. Okay. Okay.
But the whole thing is being used, you know,
Mm.
believe it or not, more on the so-called good side
Right.
to
Mhm.
expose the negativity and to get people,
Yeah.
now. But again, it is polarizing folk,
Mm.
so you have to make a choice, where do
Absolutely.
and so it just another distraction right before
Absolutely.
midterms.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
They
it's
do
like,
it every election, every cycle.
do y'all see when it happened and what's getting ready to
Mhm.
happen? It
Mhm.
has to be connected.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and now it's another polarization, and and all of the bought and paid for folks
Mhm.
are weighing in, and talking about how cancel. But I
Yes.
like what the clone said. You can't cancel me. I still am. Isn't that what he said? How
Yes,
you
and
gonna cancel me? And I am.
that's what I like about
I
him.
think
They
I'm gonna
can,
make a T-shirt to say that. How you gonna cancel me? I am.
yes, I love it. That's what I like about him. They can do everything they want. They can try to do he's gonna come out victorious
Yeah.
because
Well,
that's just who he
whoever.
is. Right, right. And like you
Yeah.
said, the white hats are using him like he's exposing that what's going on in the entertainment industry. You have, was it Durham exposing what's going on in politics? You have Elon Musk, exposing what's going on in social media and taking over, or their clones or their CGIs. So everything is happening really to awaken the people.
Absolutely. Awesome. I see Miss Rena Houston in the chat.
Yay!
She says
Hey,
yes, ma'am.
Riri.
She
I love
says
you.
yes. Yeah, she says yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Many people have been swapped out.
That's my
Thank you.
sister.
Thank you. Listen, y'all, this is an amazing interview. I told you this interview was going to be amazing. And as the story, Rena, I'm rooting for you. I'm absolutely rooting, for everything. As we used to say when I was preacher, everything that the devil stole, God's going to give it to you and more. And so, I mean, you got to look at it that way. I mean, this is a day, this is a time of disclosure,
Yes.
and a revealing and the pulling back, if they will. They say that the veil of the temple is rent. That
Mm.
means the stuff that was behind the curtain, like that Wizard of Oz, curtains being pulled back.
Yes.
And we are absolutely seeing what is behind curtain number one, number two. You know what I mean? It's the
Mhm.
truth is coming out.
It is.
The truth is coming out. And one thing about it, once you've heard it, you can't unhear it.
Mm.
Once you've
Mm.
seen it, you can't unsee it.
That's right.
And even if somebody tries to take you off of something, spread it. We got mouths, we
Mm.
got minds, we need to go back to that telepathic thing anyway. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
need to use that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I absolutely appreciate you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Kia Pruitt. You all need to follow this sister. She, almost every day you go live, or every other day or so. I know you've got some really great videos there.
Thank
But
you.
and you come with so much love and enthusiasm. That's the thing I like. When you're reporting, I mean, if you're having a bad day, turn on Dr. Kia, because she gonna make you smile, even though she might be telling you, X, Y, this, and that. She comes with she's just such a breath of fresh air with every reporting that you do, that you can't be angry. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Cannot be. You cannot be. That's right. My sister, I love
I love you, Sister Latanya. Oh, this is such an honor. Look at all these wonderful, beautiful sisters.
Yes.
Powerful sisters.
Another powerful sister.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
She was a preacher too, right?
Yeah, she's still a minister. She
okay.
got her. I think she has to tell me. I forget 360 Juicy Women. I'm messing it up, but producer on Ayala Fix My Life.
Yes.
Awesome. She's been on here before.
Wow! I have to look at that interview.
Absolutely, yeah. I have to figure out how to get you up. I just want to, give those shout outs, but really, let me see. Here, Rena says, I will keep on speaking out to tell my truth. She says, thank you, Sister Dr. Kia Pruitt, for speaking out with me.
Oh, absolutely, Rena. Anytime. I love you, sister. I got your back. You and my niecey Pooh and my sister Kendra.
Absolutely. Well, I don't want to end it, but I don't know. She said, she put it up there. She said, juicy womanhood rites of passage.
Yeah.
All right, sis. Okay. And she's an author. She has a women's group, and I want her to help us a little bit with the women already, but I haven't talked to her about that yet, because I know she's busy. She's so busy. Listen, I love you, Dr. Kia Pruitt.
I love you more, Dr. G.
And I thank you. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I mean, seriously, because this was one of the most respectful shows as far as the audience and the chat that I've ever seen. I see, normally I look up here, I got mean mug faces up. You know how they put the angry faces? Sometimes they love it, but at least no mean faces. Everybody was respectful, and everybody, I think, this was a eye-opening, well, not for me because I already knew this stuff, but I'm sure that this was an eye-opening revelation, and not only that, the information prior to us talking about Rena and I got her name, Kendra and Rena. Prior to that, all of the financial Kendra Presley, the information that you gave prior, on the Justera and the Sarah and the so-called resets or whatever. What is it really? It's not a reset. It is is it a reset or no?
It's a global currency reset instead of the Great Reset.
Okay, so the Great Reset was the nefarious action that was planned.
Yes, ma'am.
So the global reset is the counter to it, that the so-called good guys, white hats, or the global and galactic community working together have put in.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Listen, I'm honored. Thank you, sis, and love you, sis. Dr. Kia, you're a beautiful soul, very respectful. Thank you, Dr. G. Whitney's daughter knows my name. I'm excited.
Yes.
All right.
Maybe we can get her on your show one day.
Rena, if you ever want to come on, just let Dr. Kia know, or get my information and I'll bring you on, sis. Even if you want to be, in like I know when you did that other interview, she wasn't actually on camera, but it doesn't matter. If you want to come, I'd love to have you. Love to have you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me see. Here's another comment. Dr. Kia Pruitt, you are brave and courageous. Thank you for being a truth sharer. We thank and honor you. Thank you, Dr. G, for always bringing fire to our community. You are both beautiful souls. Thank you.
Thank you. That's my new sister. She's courting one of my best friends. I'm so happy.
Wow. Thank you, sister. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
And you listen, like I said, subscribe to Dr. Kia's channel. Subscribe to this one, just at least so you can get notifications. And, hopefully we'll be bringing you more, if you will, breaking information like this. But yes,
I'm going to share this with my audience. So what's the name of the channel again, so I can tell them to subscribe to your channel, share, and like your video?
Official House of Reawakening Minds.
Okay. All right. So family, y'all heard that. Share, like, and subscribe to Official House of Reawakening Minds.
And then also Dr. Kia Pruitt. That person's easy. She don't have all that stuff that I have. But Dr. Kia Pruitt. Yes, please, because I'm always checking in, to see. And sometimes I catch you live, but I'm always checking in to see, what you put there.
Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate you all for tuning in. This has been an amazing, wonderful, 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 wonderful dialogue. I don't feel like this is an interview. This is a dialogue.
And I appreciate you for having me. I'm so honored and grateful that you contacted me and you even know my name. Thank you so much.
Listen, now you know mine too. Oh, so excited. See, we have a mutual admiration thing going here. And that's what we got to do. We need to mutually admire one another.
That's right.
Look, I got to put this up. Yeah.
Okay.
Look, we going back and forth. She says, "Ooh, I am so excited for this sistership collaboration. This is a powerful, amazing woman. Thank you."
She's another powerful sister. She does healing for women.
Well, listen, reach out. I'm looking for folk to come and be on the show and do what they do. Grand Sheik does the Moorish, nationality, birth, and I do this. I'm pretty versatile. I'm holistic. I'm metaphysical. I'm spiritual. And I just love, to do what I came here to do, which is to connect. And this is what I am. I'm a connector. So I thank you. I thank you one and all for tuning in. Make sure you do share this video. Let's get 50,000 views. especially with the Whitney Elvis thing, you gotta share this. Come on, y'all. Y'all need to share this.
Yes, we need people to know about Whitney's daughter and about Elvis's daughter, Kendra, because it's their story. They need access to their estate. They need to be heard. They've been silenced all of their lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, you all are welcome, like I said, to come on this platform anytime. Absolutely. Yay. You're welcome. So love you. Love all of you. We're going to I'm honored. Okay, Rena. I don't know what you mean on here now or on here for your own self, but like I said, you need to come on. Lance Collier is asking. I don't know whether he's asking for your Cash App or I'm not sure who's Cash App. Doctor.
He might be asking for
Cash App. I don't know because I always post mine, but if you do, we did not get that.
He was gonna send it to me. Can he send it to Rena instead?
Well, Rena, what is her Cash App?
Rena, what's your Cash App, honey? And I know she doesn't like when I do that. She doesn't like people, but if somebody wants to bless you, sister, I'm gonna.
You see the private chat?
No, ma'am.
You don't see a private chat?
I see it. Yes, I see it.
If you put it there, I'll paste it and make a banner right quick and put it up. Okay.
Rena, send me I have it. Rena, send me your Cash App, sweetheart, or put it up there,
or put it in the comments,
and put it in the comment section.
Yeah, put it in the comment section.
So just so you know, family, Dr. G and I have vetted this story. Dr. G's done spiritual work to confirm.
She said, "No, ma'am, absolutely, you accept it."
What she say? No.
She said you. Yeah, she said, yeah. Well, okay. What's yours? So I'll,
It's cash. I mean, it's the $ Mama Kia MAMAKIA 13.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's it could be touchy. People will think she's just telling her story for money, and she doesn't want that. She just wants the truth. We just want the truth out. So I respect that for her.
Mama, okay. It's in the comment, but I'm going to make a quick banner.
Thank you so much, Dr. G. Thank you, family. You're so sweet.
I'm going to say for. All right, and okay, so all right. Let's see, let me do it. What did I just do with it? I had to let me put it in there. I had too many.
So let me see if I can.
I had to delete something. There we go.
I was gonna say I could do it.
There it is.
Yes, that's it.
See, if you all want to support, there it is.
You want to support Sister Rena?
Yes. We thank you.
Thank you, Dr. G.
You are absolutely, positively welcome.
Creator bless you. I know you're already blessed, but may the Creator bless you with abundance, prosperity, peace, and all the desires of your heart.
Yeah, she has said, she just wants the truth to be out. She doesn't want any donations. We know. We just, anybody want to show some love, then, Dr. Kia, either between Rena and I won't get her
Kendra
and Rena, you can do as the Creator leads you.
Yes, ma'am.
We appreciate it. All right,
y'all. Make sure she gets it, family. Thank you. I sure will.
All right. Okay. So anyway, we're about to go.
All right.
We're about to go. I love you too. I love all of you. I thank you.
Love you all.
And this has been an amazing dialogue, and I know it won't be the last. It will not be the last.
We got great work to do.
I know that's right.
Humanitarian projects, all kind of work.
Okay, y'all. We going. We are absolutely going to get out of here because
sleep well, family. Safe travels in the
I'm hungry. I haven't eaten. No, it's too late to eat. It's too late.
Don't get you some food.
I need to take a pill that says take with food. That's the only reason why. But anyway, y'all, that's too much information. I'm going.
I love you.
Love you more.
Yes, good night.
Good night.
Good night, family. Safe dreams, safe travels, safe astral travels.
Dr. G. Really? Oh shit. Yeah, that's me. Dr. G. Really? Oh shit. Yeah, that's me. Dr. G. Really? Oh shit.